With its rich history, unique geography, and diverse arts, culture, and people, Canada's capital has much to offer for visitors and those who call it home. I'm Lila Grind, and I have the pleasure of being your host. I love animation. Join me as we celebrate Ottawa at Dreamworks.
My role here at the museum is manager of creative development. So I oversee a team of creative people who design and plan exhibitions. So the first thing visitors experience when they come into the exhibition is really this immersive approach with many digital elements. There's over 75 digital productions in the exhibition. So you're really surrounded by projections, TV screens, and you see many examples of the beautiful films that Dreamworks have produced over the years. The exhibition is divided in 3 zones, and it's really a journey through the process of creating film at Dreamworks. So the first zone, when you enter the exhibition, you see really how Dreamworks designs and creates characters. So it's the very start of the process where you create lovable characters that have their own personality and look. So that's really the first zone. And the second zone is story. So it's the process that goes into creating the stories from a very sketchy outline to a full narrative that we see on the screen. And finally, when you go in the third zone, you learn about worlds. So all the creative process that goes into creating wonderful and magical worlds that are sometimes inspired by real world places, but also that are totally imagined by the artists. Inside the exhibition is very colorful. You'll see many 400 objects from the vaults of Dreamworks, and you see examples of artifacts, objects, artworks that were used as inspiration for the films, but also many sketches and drawings and paintings that were done during that creative process. So, for example, one of my favorite artifacts are the models. So artists, clay artists would make little models, clay models of each character in films just to get a sense of how they look at all angles. And that makes it easier after that to animate them, even if it's by computer. I think animation is popular for all ages because it's more than a child's story. It takes you into sometimes very complex storylines and characters that are multi-dimensional. So there's really something for everybody. There's the first level for children, a sweet story, sometimes funny. But if you dig deeper, sometimes there's deeper meaning in the stories, and I think adults pick up on that. And I think generally people appreciate the artistry and all the work that goes into creating films like this. And a lot of technology, new media are used to create these films, and it's very impressive what is possible.
Northbound Notebooks started with a need. I spent a few years traveling Southeast Asia, so I was teaching English. I lived in Cambodia, Vietnam, spent a lot of time in different schools, and as a lot of kids doing backpacking, I kept a journal with me. And then it kind of hit me at the end of my trip that this was just going to end up on a shelf somewhere or get thrown out or lost. So when I got back to Canada, I tried to find a more permanent notebook that I could use. So I was looking for something a little bit stylish, something refillable, something that would last forever, something that would grow with me as I go into new projects, as I grow creatively. And that's where my idea came from. I couldn't find it anywhere else, so I built it myself. In a digital age, we're seeing more and more screen time. We're using more and more apps every day. We're relying on computers, the internet. But I found that there's a connection people make with pen and paper. Carrying their own personal notebook, there's a sense of connection that you get that you don't have with applications, you don't have with a word processor. And for creativity, having a blank canvas to start on is how everything comes together. You can't just open up a Word document and have your ideas pour out of you as they come at you. You need something that lets you focus, something that lets you connect to a simpler time. Northbound Notebooks is all about celebrating creativity. It's about handmade leather notebooks, premium paper, a great writing experience. It's about inspiring others to create and to get back to what they love the most. It's a way to kind of build a community of people working together, celebrating creativity. At the heart of it, my notebooks weren't really just about a notebook. You can buy those anywhere. I wanted to make a product that connected with people in a different way, that helped people celebrate creativity. And alongside that, I have a background in creative writing, and I always kind of thought it'd be cool to do my own little publication. So Northbound and Notable was kind of born by both of these worlds coming together. Northbound and Notable is just a creative magazine celebrating people from all over the world. So it's artists, photographers, writers, thinkers, anyone who wants to be a part of it can submit content, and we have a place, we have a home for them with Northbound and Notable. The people who get my notebooks do all kinds of awesome things with them. I've met writers, I've met artists, I've met designers, even people who are doing day-to-day bookkeeping, accounting, a huge spectrum of people. So it's really cool that not only just the creative artists and writers and kind of creative thinkers that I had in mind, but it's actually a huge spectrum of people who are getting a ton of value out of my notebooks. It all starts with great leather. We use authentic buffalo leather. We source the best stuff we can find. It's a little bit thicker than most leather out there, so it really develops kind of a unique look as it ages, and it's rugged enough that it'll survive wherever you take it. I wanted to make sure that we made something that would last you a lifetime, not just a couple years. After we find the leather, we cut the notebooks to size by hand. So I use hand tools, I use rotary blades, I use simple tools to create the notebooks. We use hand tools to punch the holes and bind everything together. And then we use the best paper we could find to fill the pages. One of the big differences with my notebooks is the quality of paper. Originally, I wanted to find something that stood out from the crowd. Most notebooks you find out there use standard paper, stuff that doesn't really hold up well to fountain pen ink or for fancier writing. So I wanted to find a high-performance paper. So the vellum-inspired paper that I sell is as close to the authentic vellum experience from way back when. I've started to do a lot of custom work. I've had some great partnerships with different companies across Canada and the United States. And one of the most common requests was doing imprints for logos for custom work. Originally, I didn't really have any resources, but now that I'm working out of Makerspace North, we've got some great equipment. So I'm able to actually laser engrave and personalize notebooks for anyone, whether it's a gift, whether it's for a corporate client, whether it's a company logo, a menu. I've done all kinds of really awesome projects because of the great equipment here. I guess my pie-in-the-sky goal is one day, it'd be great if I could have my own storefront. My other passion is coffee, so I always thought it'd be kind of cool if I could do a notebook store selling stationery and serving coffee, kind of a cool hangout spot. Have some local artists in the community showcase their stuff, kind of get back to what's at the heart of my company.
Don't go away. After the break, a feature on a woodworking enthusiast with over 1 million YouTube subscribers.
Well, my dad has always had a woodworking shop for as long as I can remember. And even before I was 10 years old, he actually let me use the bandsaw unsupervised, as in without him being in the shop. So I've always had the opportunity to play with woodworking machines. I got into the whole social media thing before there was something called social media. Back in the late 1990s, it was a cool thing to have your own website. This is before internet video was practical or widespread. So in 1998, I built my first website. When YouTube was bought by Google, everybody kind of became aware of it, including myself. And I thought, hey, I could just upload my videos to YouTube and then embed them on my website so people can see the machines in action. And then over time, video has become much more important in the website. I find myself looking more at videos than other people's websites. And this is true for the audience at large too. So it used to be that most of the traffic was on the website, whereas now most of the traffic is on the videos. The content has changed quite a bit. My first videos were just to show something like a marble machine that pictures and text really couldn't do it justice. And then I started making some videos just demonstrating the final product, and how to build it was a website article. And gradually I started making videos of actually building the project, which was quite a challenge because that's much more intrusive than just stopping once in a while and taking a picture, because then you actually have to show the steps. And you also have much less opportunity to fake it. If you missed a shot, you can't fake it as well as you could with a photo. So my videos have evolved from showing the final product to showing the steps and how to do it. Why I'm successful on YouTube, a very important aspect of that is to have started early. So I had some videos that did very well before it was big. And also in the woodworking space, there was more audience than there was creators initially. So there was a lot of audience and not as much content, which means it was easy to get a foothold. And since then, just to be established and have a following really, really helps. Not just because your followers will watch the video, but because actually the big computers at Google figure out that, oh, there's a lot of people that enjoy these videos. Quite possibly more people will enjoy these videos, and so YouTube will suggest it to a wider audience, and this is how a lot of people find more videos. Of course, it's also a matter of producing good videos. To set up the space to make good videos is primarily a matter of having good video and good audio, and that's a function of the camera, but more so the space. So it's important to have enough lights, to have them all the same color. I didn't used to. And I've also found, just because I have windows in the shop, that just to have all the lights daylight color balance, so that if I have outside light coming in as well and it mixes, it doesn't change the colors. Audio is a challenge in this space here because it's a relatively large space and it can be very echoey. So I've actually hung up a lot of drop cloths on the walls just to absorb some of the echo. But good videos alone is not sufficient. And then the other thing that I have kind of a more unique angle is just the engineering approach to it. There's plenty of videos about people building coffee tables or farmhouse tables or sideboards or whatever pieces of furniture, but very few people have the skills to not only build their own bandsaw but also design it and come up with new inventions like the Panther router or the quickset tenon jig. So I've got quite a few inventions that really help drive things as well. When I modify tools, I don't really consider it as hacking them, more as coming up with new functions. It started out really with my dad had European equipment in his workshop, and he would do a lot of mortise and tenon joints. Just the machines could do that. And when I got my first table saw, and I didn't have equipment for making mortise and tenon joints, but I would like to do that. And so I built my first tenon jig, and then an improved one, and then another one, and figured out how to make a slot mortiser. So then I could do some of these joints as well, although not as quickly as with the larger equipment that my dad had, but it enabled me to do things. And from there, just experimenting. I think the next experiment was my very first screw advanced box joint jig, which is different from the one that I sell plans for now. But it was just the idea of using a screw to advance the material very precisely, as opposed to a typical method of indexing each finger off the previous one, which leads to a lot of cumulative errors and is very finicky to set up. So it's always been about, I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do that. And over time I got more confident about that sort of thing. I wanted a rotor lift, so I built my own. Eventually I had this idea for the Panther rotor, which is able to cut the four sides of a tenon and also round over the corners. That was the primary function of that one. But of course, once I had it built, well, it uses templates to cut the joints, and I could just make a template for all kinds of other joints, like dovetail joints or box joints. So the machine, originally I was questioning whether this machine was actually useful, but I found a lot of other uses for that machine since then. I create the videos because that is really the main product. I don't make a living selling things that I make out of wood. Very few of the things that I make leave the home. It's mostly for here. Sometimes I make something for a friend. So the main product is actually the video that thousands of people can watch online. Well, hopefully they'll be entertained and inspired. Depends on some of the videos, like my mouse videos, those are clearly not for inspiration, they're just for entertainment, and they work well at that. The build videos, yeah, to inspire people just to try and making things. I've gotten a lot of emails from people saying, I got back into woodworking because of your videos.
Stay tuned. Up next, a story about Harvard University alumni in Ottawa.
Organized by the Harvard Club of Ottawa. We'll meet with club executives and current Canadian Harvard students who are considering future opportunities here in our nation's capital.
The Harvard Club of Ottawa is a club that is the point of meeting for anybody who has a Harvard degree, basically. And there's about 400 of them in the Ottawa region. And it's a little of a bit of a system that is going on around the world. There's about 188 Harvard clubs in 70 different countries. Half of those 188 clubs are in the States, but in Canada we have one in Montreal, one in Toronto, another one in Vancouver, and every so often we make events jointly. And so it's a place where people come and meet and find the sort of people we would find also at Harvard. Very diverse range of age groups now. There's a lot of retiree people who use it as a platform for staying in touch, serving as mentors for younger people. We also like to have interesting people that one of us may know and then bring them into a little salon where you'll have 30 people and there's, you know, Kevin Page or an interesting researcher of breakthrough science. And we have this person all to ourselves, and we all bring a bottle of wine and a bit of something to eat and just have this very engaging conversation that's very much like the experience we would have at Harvard, where you have those world leaders who are there just for you. To see also some fantastic range of people from various backgrounds and interests, very good at debating, all sharing the same curiosity, and so it's really like nurturing an extended family. Some of our previous events we have networking nights, where we invite people for just a pub night, basically. There is the Harvard-Yale football game once a year. That's a staple. Book clubs that will be with small groups. The guest speaker every year that is flown in from Harvard. We also have common events with the Harvard Club of Montreal. Last summer we had one with the Harvard Club of Toronto, which was a winery tour. And so we try to be as diverse and get a bit of everything. We can talk about recent breakthrough in medicine or some current thinking about urban design or biology or environmental law. So we try to make it quite a broad plate of offerings.
Well, I don't know if it's important to have a club in Ottawa, but for those people who want to recreate the kind of intellectual stimulation that teachers provide, that your fellow students provide, having a club where you reconnect with some of those people and have a chance to be stimulated is a lovely opportunity. One of the things we often do at our events is we try and have a little bit more in the admission price than it's going to cost us, so we can give to a local charity. It might be the Ottawa Food Bank, it might be a place called Serenity Renewal, it might be for Aboriginal education, that sort of thing. The other thing we've done is we've established a fund in honor of David Johnston for students at Harvard. And the objective of the thing, he's actually a classmate of mine, the objective of the thing is to give other people the kind of opportunity we had to go to Harvard even though our parents couldn't afford the price. And this fund in honor of Johnston, and he's been so supportive of it because of the experience that he had at Harvard, not only as a hockey player, but as a real scholar. And to give other people that kind of opportunity is something that, you want to give back. And so we're raising money for that. Anybody who's watching this program who would like to help us do that, just, get on the Harvard Club of Ottawa website and they'll figure out how to give a bit of money for that. It would be most appreciated, I can tell you that.
Tonight is a group of Harvard graduate students, for most of them. A lot of them are at the Kennedy School of Government, and they would like to find an interesting job in Ottawa as their first job, basically. So somebody organized meetings with a number of people in government, in and out of government, so that they could just get a first crack at finding that first job, which is always important for starting your career.
I am currently a third-year law student at Harvard Law School. So for me, this trip was really about meeting people that I would not normally have the opportunity to meet. And what is really special about the Harvard Club of Ottawa and about the organizing team for this trip is they made the effort to introduce us to a wide variety of stakeholders, ministers in government, policy leaders, leaders in civil society that are really thinking about issues in a meaningful way, and to do so among such a small group of students. There are only 12 or 13 of us on this trip, was something for me that was an opportunity I knew I wouldn't get again. And so even though these are short meetings, I feel like we've all come in with the hope of learning in a powerful way, and we have done that. And these are the sorts of opportunities that are hard to get once you leave school. And so for me, that was a big draw for the trip.
The main priorities for the club, I think we want to stay relevant, we want to stay engaging, and we also want our alumni to stay engaged and to feel welcome and to feel challenged and just prodded a little bit into their comfort zone, into staying curious, staying into debates and discovering new things throughout their lives.
The Harvard Club of Ottawa hosts numerous events like this one throughout the year, some of which are open to the public. With the help of the club, current Canadian Harvard students are able to build the connections they need for their aspirations. I'm sure many of these students will be calling Ottawa home in the future.
We delved into a world of imagination and creativity here at the Dreamworks exhibit at the Museum of History. It was a wonderful tour of storytelling, character building, and sketching. I hope you have a chance to check it out. Thank you for watching. See you next time.